The royal corridors of Amalienburg Palace, usually shrouded in calm tradition and centuries-old protocol, were thrust into unprecedented turmoil the moment Queen Margrethe II stunned her nation, and even her own family, with her sudden abdication. What began as a typical winter day in Copenhagen quickly spiraled into a whirlwind of emotions, political recalibrations, and behind-the-scenes shockwaves that shook even the most seasoned royal observers. Denmark, a kingdom built on stability, had never witnessed such a rapid transition of power, not in recent memory, not without the usual signs, not without the whispers that typically precede such monumental change. And at the center of this emotional quake stood King Frederik X and Queen Mary, caught off guard by the very woman they had long admired and served loyally, Queen Margrethe herself. The announcement came on New Year's Eve, during the Queen's annual televised address, a tradition loved by Danes across generations. But no one could have predicted what would unfold during that otherwise festive night. Just as the clock was ticking toward a new year, Queen Margrethe, with regal composure but eyes that betrayed emotion, declared her abdication effective in just 2 weeks. It wasn't merely a retirement, it was a royal departure with almost no preparation, no public consultations, and, according to palace insiders, minimal forewarning to her own son and daughter-in-law. The couple, then Crown Prince Frederik and Crown Princess Mary, were reportedly informed only shortly before the speech was broadcast. What ensued behind the scenes was a flurry of urgent meetings, security briefings, wardrobe adjustments, and constitutional formalities, all condensed into a frenzied fortnight that catapulted the couple from royal heirs to monarchs of the Danish realm. King Frederik X, a reserved but deeply thoughtful man, was thrust into the spotlight overnight. Years of royal duty and public service had prepared him in theory, but the manner of the transition left him no time for the quiet mental transition one would expect from such a seismic life change. Queen Mary, ever the poised consort, wore her new crown with grace but struggled privately with the emotional and logistical shock of the moment. Behind the palace's Baroque facade, she was reportedly juggling the needs of their 4 children, the expectations of a nation, and the personal weight of ascending the throne under such startling circumstances. "We didn't see it coming," one senior court official whispered, and neither did they. Observers across Europe were quick to draw comparisons to other royal transitions. Britain's Queen Elizabeth II died at her post, Spain's King Juan Carlos abdicated after scandal. But Margrethe's choice was different. There was no scandal, no major health collapse, no constitutional crisis. It was a choice born out of introspection, perhaps fatigue, perhaps even quiet defiance of the unspoken rule that monarchs rule until death. The Queen cited a successful back surgery and reflection during her recovery as the catalysts for her decision, but many insiders suspect a deeper narrative, a sense that the time had come to pass the baton before it was taken from her by age or circumstance. Her abdication may have been calculated for the good of the monarchy's future, but its execution was anything but methodical. The days that followed were filled with ceremonial pomp and emotional weight. The Danish parliament, the Folketing, had to swiftly approve the succession, while royal households scrambled to realign schedules, staff, and state documents to reflect the new monarchs. The royal guards were briefed, new state portraits commissioned, and the palace's inner circle restructured. Meanwhile, King Frederik X was trying to find his voice as a monarch. No longer just a figure in waiting, he now held the symbolic and constitutional headship of the Danish nation. His first public appearances were closely scrutinized, his speeches analyzed for tone and authenticity, and his interactions with Queen Mary, now Denmark's first Australian-born queen, offered rare glimpses into the real-time evolution of royal dynamics. What perhaps struck the public most was the profound emotional response from the Danish people. They felt admiration for Queen Margrethe's decades of service but were equally shocked by the abruptness of her exit. For over 50 years, she had been the stable hand on the wheel of Denmark's monarchy, weathering political changes, cultural shifts, and personal griefs with the kind of stoic elegance that earned her global respect. That she chose to step aside without even a year-long transition left many reeling. Crowds gathered in Copenhagen, unsure whether to celebrate or mourn. Bouquets were laid outside royal residences, not in grief but in tribute. The emotional complexity of the moment permeated public consciousness, from cafes to classrooms to political halls. Insiders later revealed that Queen Margrethe had consulted only a handful of close advisors in the days leading up to her announcement. The Queen reportedly felt it was important that her son begin his reign while still relatively young, capable of shaping a modern monarchy that resonates with a new generation. Yet, even within those noble intentions, the absence of broader consultation raised eyebrows. Why weren't the Crown Prince and Crown Princess given more time? Why wasn't the public gradually prepared? Was there pressure from within the court or a fear of leaks that prompted such secrecy? These questions remain unanswered, but their echoes continue to ripple through royal circles. Queen Mary, ever diplomatic, maintained a dignified silence in public but has since let her actions speak volumes. She has increased her public engagements, taken on key ceremonial roles with renewed vigor, and used her platform to reinforce unity, compassion, and continuity. Her presence at state visits and national events has become a stabilizing force during this unexpected period of transition. Yet, behind closed doors, friends close to the Queen hint at a whirlwind of emotion. The balancing act between duty and personal shock is one she continues to navigate with grace but not without effort. The first official royal portraits of King Frederik and Queen Mary were released within days of the abdication, signaling a new era while preserving the regal aesthetic that has defined Danish royalty for generations. The images were striking. Frederik's calm yet resolute demeanor beside Mary's commanding elegance spoke to their readiness, despite the circumstances. Still, the royal photographer who captured the portraits later described the session as emotionally charged and delicately timed, revealing the unspoken undercurrents coursing through the palace in those early days. International response was swift and varied. European royals offered congratulations with thinly veiled surprise. The British monarchy sent a formal message of support, while Sweden's royal household issued a statement praising Queen Margrethe's legacy and expressing confidence in her son's leadership. The media frenzy spanned from Berlin to Sydney, with many outlets highlighting the unique nature of Mary's rise from Tasmanian commoner to Queen of Denmark under such high-speed, historic conditions. Australian media, in particular, relished the story, hailing it as a modern fairy tale with an unexpected twist. But not all was smooth. Within the palace, subtle power shifts began to emerge. Senior advisors loyal to Queen Margrethe found themselves reassigned or removed, as the new royal couple sought to build a team aligned with their own vision. Long-serving staff were reportedly blindsided, their roles unclear in the new hierarchy. Such changes are typical in any regime shift, but the pace and style of this transition made the process unusually fraught. Royal protocol, deeply rooted in centuries of continuity, struggled to keep pace with the shockwaves of this particular abdication. Despite the initial turbulence, King Frederik X is beginning to find his rhythm. His recent speeches reflect a growing confidence, an embrace of his fatherly, forward-looking image, and a deep gratitude toward his mother's service. In one touching moment, during his first state address, he paused to acknowledge Queen Margrethe not as a predecessor but as a mother who gave all she had to the throne. The crowd responded with thunderous applause, their loyalty now slowly shifting toward the new monarchs with cautious optimism. As Denmark settles into its new royal era, the echoes of that shocking announcement still linger. Queen Margrethe now resides in a quieter wing of the palace, enjoying the serenity she long postponed. She occasionally appears at official events but no longer bears the weight of the crown. Whether her decision was driven by foresight, fatigue, or a desire to exit on her own terms remains a matter of speculation. But what is undeniable is the historical magnitude of that moment, the ripple it sent through the lives of Frederik and Mary, the palace staff, the Danish people, and the watching world. The atmosphere inside Amalienborg Palace during the days that followed Queen Margrethe's abdication was, according to several insiders, unlike anything the Danish royal family had experienced in modern times. There were hurried meetings behind closed doors, hushed conversations in corridors, and a mounting emotional pressure that gripped even the most experienced members of the royal household. King Frederik X, known for his calm disposition and reflective nature, was reportedly silent for long stretches of time, processing not just the weight of the crown but the manner in which it had suddenly been placed upon him. His composure in public was commendable, but those close to him described moments of intense reflection, even visible exhaustion, as the responsibilities began to cascade without the traditional transition period most monarchs are afforded. Queen Mary, always known for her poise and commitment, also found herself juggling far more than the crown. She had long prepared for this moment theoretically, having been groomed for 2 decades for a future role as queen consort. Yet the reality was something far different from what anyone had rehearsed. Within days, she was being fitted for ceremonial attire, briefed on diplomatic protocol, and scheduled to receive foreign dignitaries, all while ensuring her 4 children, especially the young Prince Vincent and Princess Josephine, were emotionally supported during this life-altering family transition. It was, in many ways, the most intense test of her strength, one that she passed with grace, but not without great emotional cost. What remains especially poignant is how close Queen Margrethe and her son had been throughout their lives. Their relationship was one of mutual respect and quiet affection. Frederik often described his mother as the anchor of the realm, a figure whose wisdom had guided not just the monarchy but his own development as a leader. That she chose to announce her abdication with minimal discussion beforehand suggests a deep internal struggle on her part, perhaps a personal belief that the weight of decision-making should not be shared if she wished to maintain control of her own narrative. Until the very end, some sources close to the palace even hinted at Margrethe's desire to protect Frederik from months of public and private pressures that would have accompanied a long-announced succession. By surprising everyone, she forced the monarchy to move forward decisively, without the slow burn of political, media, or public speculation. The Danish people, ever proud of their monarchy, experienced a rare moment of national vulnerability. For generations, Queen Margrethe had been a fixture, her distinctive fashion, her warm smile, her erudition and wit. She was more than a monarch, she was a cultural icon. The idea that she would no longer be the queen left many reeling. On social media, Danes expressed gratitude, but also confusion. Why now? Became the dominant question. But perhaps that's exactly what Margrethe wanted, a moment that belonged entirely to her, a decision that wasn't dragged out by the ticking clock of age or the whisper of advisors. It was a rare act of royal agency in an institution often defined by tradition and inertia. Across the broader European royal landscape, the abdication created ripples of both admiration and concern. In Norway, Sweden, and the Netherlands, fellow monarchs reportedly watched closely. Some speculated whether this could usher in a wave of voluntary abdications among older monarchs, especially those grappling with advancing age or shifting public expectations. Others worried that Queen Margrethe's decision could unsettle centuries-old traditions that suggest monarchs serve until death as a symbol of eternal duty. Regardless of interpretation, the decision was historic, and its consequences far-reaching. For King Frederik X, the weeks after his proclamation were marked by a baptism by fire. He had to navigate state functions, deliver inaugural addresses, attend military briefings, and meet with political leaders, all while defining his own identity as monarch. He was no longer the adventurous crown prince who once participated in expeditions across Greenland or competed in Ironman events. Now he was king, expected to embody the steadiness of tradition while symbolizing progress. Every gesture was analyzed. The tone of his voice, the symbolism in his wardrobe, even the way he held Queen Mary's hand at official events. The world was watching, and Queen Mary, now a full-fledged queen consort, was thrust into a role that no amount of preparation could fully simulate. Her upbringing in Australia had once seemed so distant from the grandeur of European royalty. Yet, she had become Denmark's own, a beloved and admired figure whose elegance, fluency in Danish, and steadfast devotion to public service had long earned her public trust. Still, the transformation from consort-in-waiting to queen brought its own pressures. Behind every public appearance was an avalanche of behind-the-scenes adjustments, new titles, new protocols, new expectations. But most of all, a new sense of isolation. Few could truly understand the unique role she now held. Her closest confidant, Margrethe, had withdrawn to private life, and the gap left behind was as symbolic as it was personal. Media around the world documented every step of the transition. Fashion outlets praised Mary's re-wear of iconic dresses to signal continuity and economic prudence. Political commentators analyzed Frederik's speeches for signs of alignment or deviation from his mother's policies. Children's charities and foundations with royal patronage nervously waited to see whether they would retain support. And in the middle of this frenzied national adjustment stood a family, just trying to absorb the shock of an abrupt shift in destiny. Palace insiders revealed that the weeks following the abdication saw an uptick in late-night meetings and emotional conversations among family members. Margrethe reportedly invited Frederik and Mary for several private dinners during which she tried to provide context for her decision, answer lingering questions, and share personal reflections. Those conversations were said to be deeply emotional but ultimately healing. Queen Margrethe made it clear that she had full confidence in her son's ability to lead, and in Mary's capacity to be a queen for modern Denmark. She also hinted, in her own reserved way, that a lifetime of service had taken its toll and that she yearned for a quieter chapter. Indeed, Margrethe's post-abdication life is already markedly different. Freed from official duties, she has returned to her artistic passions, illustrating books, designing theatrical costumes, and contributing to cultural projects across Scandinavia. But even in retirement, she remains a living symbol of Denmark's modern monarchy. Her image still appears in public buildings, her legacy echoed in the structure and ceremonial life of the court she reigned over for 5 decades. What's perhaps most remarkable is how Denmark, despite the upheaval, managed to retain its characteristic sense of grace and continuity. The swift but respectful transition is now being taught in political science courses as a case study in constitutional monarchy at its most adaptive. Constitutional lawyers praised the clarity of the Danish succession laws, which prevented any power vacuum. Political leaders across party lines offered bipartisan support for the new king and queen, reinforcing a national sense of unity rarely seen in turbulent political times. And yet, the personal cost to the new monarchs cannot be overstated. In quiet moments, King Frederik X reportedly returns to his private study, formerly his mother's, to reread her journals and notes she left behind. Queen Mary, though unshakable in public, is said to spend more time with her children now, ensuring they adjust to their new public roles. Crown Prince Christian, Denmark's new heir, has also taken on increased public attention. At only 18, he has begun training for his eventual role as king. He now shadows his father at events, learns the intricacies of state protocol, and reads daily intelligence briefings prepared by royal aides. The family's adjustment has become a symbol of resilience in the face of unexpected change. Though the crown passed suddenly, it did not fall. And in that lies the enduring strength of Denmark's monarchy. As we continue to follow the reign of King Frederik X and Queen Mary, and the new royal chapter unfolding before our eyes, we are reminded of the words Queen Margrethe once said in an earlier speech: "Change is not the enemy of tradition, it is its evolution." That sentiment now carries deeper meaning than ever before. Was Queen Margrethe's bold, sudden decision an act of visionary leadership or an emotional impulse masked in royal formality? Only time will tell. But for now, Denmark's royal saga continues, steeped in mystery, emotion, and a deep sense of history in motion. Don't forget to like this video, share it with fellow royal watchers, leave your thoughts in the comments, and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a moment in the lives of Europe's most captivating royals.